Moinak, I did not see your assignment. So stay back after the call so that I can see yours. Okay, so if you go and search data import limit, yeah, that is very important. These are the things which needs to be clear. You see, this is the limit. So data import limit Salesforce. Data import wizard. Are you getting this? Import data import wizard.
Yes, sir.
So this is able to handle only 50,000 records. Okay. If you have to load more than 50,000 record, you cannot use data import wizard at a time. At a time, you have to either break this into 50,000 records, CSVs, and you have to import it one by one. That is one way. If you have more than, and then you have the limit for data loader. If you go with the data loader limit, you see you can go up to 5 million records at a time. Okay. So if you have anything to load between 500, like 50,000 records, you can use data loader. If you have more than 50,000 records to be uploaded, then you cannot load it via data loader. Okay, or you have to break it into smaller files so that you can load it. Workbench is not a Salesforce product, as I already told it.
Onimesh sir, extremely sorry. Onimesh sir, hello.
Yeah.
Sorry for sir. Actually, I'm right. Presently, sir, I'm in site now. I have done it with the help of Shushanto sir. As soon as I go to home, sir, as soon as I reach home, I'll definitely sir present you, sir.
That's fine. You call me up and we can set up a call. Or you can
Definitely, sir.
meeting. I will tell you. That is fine. You call me when you are.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
So they do not have a published limit, but it says that it supports 55 million records also. So you can use data loader. Usually I have seen large files in data loader, but there is a problem. So but you have to use basically bulk API triggered. What is bulk API? Bulk API data import wizard works with bulk API. So you saw that it goes into the jobs, scheduled jobs, right?
Yes.
And then finally you will get the results. In Workbench, it is not usually done synchronously, but if you tick the bulk API, then it will start working in batch. So test it out how it works differently when you are loading the data. So use this so that you have a better understanding of how it works. Let me show you. So if you go to the settings, you will see there is a setting for, sorry, not here. When you choose any file, file was there. Don't have a CSV today. Okay. The idea is when you are checking in, then you will see a checkbox called use bulk API.
Yes, sir. I
You
see
can use
that.
bulk. Huh?
There are 3 or 4
Correct.
options.
Yeah. So bulk API, if you tick on that bulk API, then what happens is that you will be loading it in batches, automatic batches. The tool will start loading it using batches. So that is the difference. So that control the workbench will give you. But usually try to master all of them. It is very important. So today's class. The most so what we have learned so far is quite good, that we are creating some custom fields and stuff. But what if I want to create a field and I want to have some logic? A logic means I want to have a logic that my value, first and foremost, let's go to segregate the standard fields and custom fields. So can I make a standard field required, and how will I make a standard field required? Tell me.
Sir, from the page layout settings bottom, it can be possible to record it.
In page layout, I can mark it as required, right? Any
Yes.
field. Good answer. Very good answer. So from page layout, I can mark a standard field required. Can I mark a custom field required also? Same way?
Yes, sir.
I can do that. Okay. Can I make a custom field required when I'm creating that field or editing that field?
Yes, sir.
How will you do that?
Just there was a checkbox recorded field. Click on
Required
this.
field. Can you do the same with standard field?
No, sir.
We cannot do that, right?
There will be no option for this.
Yeah, required field checkbox is not there when you are creating any, because standard field you cannot create, neither you can edit that field. So and there is nothing called a required field on standard field. Okay. So what if I have to make a standard field required? I am left with only the choice is page layout. Now the problem with page layout making it required is that page layout makes it required only when you are using that from Salesforce screens. But what if you are loading data from data loader or workbench? Will it work?
Make it from the validation group.
That's correct. So when I am loading a data, the page layout can, if I make a required field required in page layout, does it make it required in data loading?
Yes, sir. No, sir.
No, it does not. Because it does not change the nature of the field. It only makes it required on one layout. So whoever using is that layout, only it is getting required for them only in Salesforce screens, nothing else. Okay. If he's using some other layout for or somebody else is using other layout, they can bypass it. It's not required for them. Okay. So what will you do? So let's see that. What will you do when you want to make a standard field layout? You are left with a thing called validation rule. If you create a validation rule, you can make a standard field required and a custom field also required. So when to use what? This is field type. When to use what? If you want a standard field to be required for everybody, from in every screen and even in data loading, then you have to use validation rule. Okay. If you want to make a custom field required for everybody and make it also available in data loading, that required in data loading, at that point use the field type. That is the best options to use. If you want to make it only required for some screens for some people, then use this option. But try to avoid this option altogether. Usually this is not used. Okay. So let us now see this. I want to go to account record or application record, which is my record. So if this is the account record, which is a standard object, if I want to make this account number, can I make it mandatory from field? If I do an edit here, you will not see there is any checkbox called required. So standard fields cannot be made required. Okay. But what if there is a custom field? So let's see this. Did I create any custom field? Serial number is a custom. SL serial number is a custom field. Here, if I make it edit, you will see there is a required field. So in custom field, always you get a required checkbox. When you make it required, immediately you will see this is required checkbox. Immediately what you will see is that the account will start needing this field. And you cannot remove this from any layout, okay? This SSL serial number, red star has come up. So now you cannot say with this record, account number and account name and serial number both are now required. But what if I want also the account number to be required? Account number is a standard field, right? The first technique which is possible is that I go to this layout. You see 4 layouts are there. And one of this layout is here, account number is there. On this, you can make it required. If you make it required, it will behave just like on the field level if I made it required. Same, no difference. So if you now go to here, it will take some time to reflect. Now account number is showing red star. And if you want to save, you see all the 3 is showing up now. So it is behaving just like, but this field is only required for the set of users who are using this layout. How to see this? If you go to layout assignment, you will see this account layout is getting used by these profiles. So any users who have this profile will see this required. But if there is a different layout, I have not made it required on that layout. It will not work. But I want to make account, I want to load data into account, and I don't want I don't want anybody to bypass it. Even in data loading also, I want that field to be required, but that is a standard field. How do I do that? In that case, you have to use validation rules down below. What is a validation rule? Here, it will say account number cannot be this is the rule number. What field I want to check from account? I will check account number. This is a standard field. I will insert it. So this condition, I am writing a condition. This condition should be the condition which I should not allow. Okay, a condition which I want to block. Now here conditions are created with fields and operators. So which operator should I use? I will use equal to what? Blank, quotation. Is always a good idea to check syntax. No errors found. When this is the situation, I want to show the people that account number cannot be made blank, right? So I will say account number cannot be blank. I can show this message on top of the page. I can also show that just on that field itself. So I will rather show it on the field. And I will say, okay. Now the question is, if I now refresh the screen, will this fire? Complete this field, but my message was account number cannot be blank. So my validation rule is basically not firing. Why it is not firing? Because if you make any field mandatory on the page layout itself, validation rule only fires when the record save button is clicked and the validations on the UI has already passed. All the mandatory fields has been provided. So if layout already you have marked a layout, a field in layout as mandatory, then your validation rule for that field will not work. So the blank validation, because the other validation will work. I will show it there. So I will go to validation rule. I will go to page layout once again, and I will make this non-mandatory in the layout. Right? I will go back, refresh the screen. Now, what will happen? If I click save, it is only complaining about SLA and account name. So let me provide that. Yes. Yes. See, now it is showing me account number error. This is the validation rule, and it is showing my message. So it is very important that red star will not come for validation rule. Okay. Validation rule will only fire when all the values has provided and the save button is clicked, and that time it will check for any rules. So now my rule has fired, and now I am seeing an account number cannot be blank. So this is the way. The benefit of this method is that if you are now loading any record from account, let me create a account record. I only have the name field. This is the tick box I was talking about. You see, it is already complaining about account number cannot be blank. This validation rule is firing. If I just log in once again to Workbench, and try to insert again, I have just provided name field, right? You see, SLA serial number is showing in red. So if I have not done it, now it will show both the problems are, it will show the errors on both areas. Okay, so that is the problem right now you are seeing with this. So this is the benefit of using validation rule, is that it will not allow you in data loading also. So now the important part is, do we only do null checks it is not only null checks or blank checks we don't do. There are many ways of doing it. Null checks also can be done in a better way. How do we do that in a better way? So there are some functions which has been given. Those should be used rather than these. So you see in this function, there are many functions are there. So text functions have many different kinds of functions, because first you have to understand what kind of field is this. If you go to field manager, always check what kind of field is this. This is a text field. So any validation rule should work with text characters. So text fields will be important for you. So you will have to do any kind of manipulation that is possible using text field. These functions work exactly similar to any function of Excel sheet. Same, no difference. So what we can do is the blank check. Can I do this in a better way? I will do it like,
Is that, sir, easy blank?
yes. I think that is there in all functions. Is not. So if I now use this, solve find text, private text. You can use this one rather than is null, because is null is better for numeric fields or something of that sort. But for text field, null and blank check both are required. So is blank covers both null and blank check. So you can run this validation rule just by doing this. This is easier for people to understand. So now, not only I want to check a blank check, I want to also make sure that the account number which you are providing starts with something else. So there are two criteria. One is the is blank, and second criteria is it should start with something else. So let's see what are the advanced formulas there. Okay, so let's do a text. In this text field, there are many, and always go through, and when you are clicking on this here, you will see begins, if the text begins with specific characters and returns true, if it does. So why not use this? Let's have beginning. What text I am comparing? Account text I am comparing. And what is this is the second condition, right? One condition is it has to be not null. And second condition is it should begin with something like ACCN hyphen. I want this to be there. Okay, let's check. Now there are two conditions. If just I write these conditions to, will that work? No, it will not work. Cannot be blank and should start with ACCN hyphen. Yeah, this is what I want to show my users. So give me a text which starts with this. How will I now add these two conditions together so that they can work together? Either you can create two validation rules, one for one is blank account number, another for this begins account number. That is also possible. The benefit is always minimize your validation rules, so that the user does not get one after another errors. It will be very bad for him. So show him all the problems that is possible on that field upfront. So what we will do is that we need to now like combine these two conditions. Now, what is the logic operator that can combine this? Again, the operator is in question. Add, subtract, multiple, divide will only work with numerical values. Exponential will also work. Brackets is just we will make sure that something happens first and then other things happens. Concatenate means if you are like adding two texts together, then it will work also. Just like you can use inside this, you can use concat. So all these operators can also be done using functions also. Okay, please remember that. So let us now see if I can use this operator AND or OR. Now, what is the job of AND and what is the job of OR? AND and OR operators combine to multiple conditions or checks. Here we have two checks. Is has to be blank, it has to start with ACCN. How do I combine these two? Should I use AND operator or should I use OR operator?
And operator.
AND operator makes it mandatory that all the conditions should be
Are true.
for the whole condition to be true. So individual conditions has to be true, then only the whole condition has to be true. And if the whole condition is true, then only this validation rule will fire. Otherwise, it will not fire. Okay. So let's check. What is the situation? Account number needs to be true. Account number is blank has to be true. That means the account number is blank. And is blank is equal to true also you can write here. Okay, this is also fine. Automatically this function returns a true or false. That's why we are not writing anything, but you can also do this equal. So is blank account number is equal to true. That is the true check of this condition, as well as this begins also can be true. So basically we are writing like this. These are the actual conditions, right? We are omitting this true part because the conditions always check for true. That is the reason we are not writing it. But for your understanding, I will write it this way. So is blank account number has to be true. Our begins account number has to be true. Both needs to be true. Then only this validation rule will fire. That means which operator?
And operator.
And operator.
So AND operator.
Yes, sir.
Sure.
100%.
Okay. Let's see. That means if I give ACCN, if I give XYZ hyphen, then it should not be true, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's give AND operator. Okay. I can put a AND operator between this sentence. I will also show you. So it's always a good idea to check for syntax. When you are writing this kind of things, always give a bracket so that you can understand what is the total condition, right? Check syntax. No errors found? Sure. Let's test it now. Serial number is throwing error. Where is your validation rule? Who said 100%? What's up?
Me, sir.
Tell me what is going wrong.
Oh, the logic actually.
What is going wrong? When you are using a
We're using
function,
a pen. It's
you can omit this is equal to true because always
Yes.
any function will return true or false,
uh,
whatever value. So it is easier to write like this. So it is easier to understand also. You can also write this in this way. If you don't want to use operator, you can use this as and then a bracket and conditions one after another. So ideally this, and then there is a comma and the second condition. This is easier to read. Now I'm combining these conditions with an AND operator. That's how it is working. So this is the function version of AND. Okay, the same thing. Check syntax. But it is not working. What's up? What happened?
yes, sir.
What if I make it OR? Let's test it. Right? Working, right?
Yes.
What happened? Second did not work. What is going on? So the important part to remember when we are combining condition is that is both the condition can be true, then only it will fire. Is blank, I want to block is blank. So when is blank is true, I want to block it. And then I'm checking begins account number this. So begins it be what is the begin function? Begin function says if does, otherwise returns false, right? So is blank account number is true and there is a or condition, then the whole condition is true. Isn't it?
Yes.
If the account number begins with ACCAN, then it is true. If the account number already has a value, can that be is blank? True. First, what we did an AND, right?
Yes.
So what we are saying is that when the account number is blank and when the account number starts with ACCN, that means all conditions needs to be true. What is the all condition? Account number is blank and account number starts with ACCN. It's a fallacy, right? It will
Yeah.
never happen. It's either condition will happen, right? If the account number is blank, then block it. Or if the account number is starts with ACCN hyphen, then block it. Isn't it?
Yeah.
That means you have to use an OR operator. That means either. That means any. OR means any. And means all. Please remember that. Are you trying to block any of the conditions? Then OR. Are you trying to block all the conditions together when it is true? Then AND. Okay? Very clear. So here the situation is I want to block when the account number is blank and I want to block when the account number starts with ACCN. Yeah?
Yes.
So you will see that when I add a value with ACCN, it will start blocking. Let's see that. By the way, validation rule also works with edit. It will fire not only for create, it will fire for edit also. Every time you click for save, it will fire. So let's edit this one. And I change this ACCN something, right? See, it is blocked.
Yeah.
Now the problem is that what our requirement was that it should start with ACCN hyphen, right?
Yes.
So we have a wrong condition now. It is basically blocking ACCN.
Yes.
It should not block ACCN. Right?
Yes.
So how do we do that? Either we say is equal to false. That will work.
Yeah.
It's fine. So if I now say this ACCM, now it will allow, right?
Yes.
If you change this to something else, it will not allow. It is not asking for that. So this can work. The alternate way and better way of writing this is to put a not operator before it and remove false. Okay.
Yes.
Becomes a little difficult with this. So what is the actual condition? So actually what I'm writing is this: account number equal to blank this is the first condition, and I am doing an OR condition. This is the OR condition, two pipe operators. You can hand type also, and this is equal to false. This is actually the condition. You can write it this way also. If this is easier for you to understand, do this. Okay, whatever is easy. But actually, in the functional method, you will write it like this. Using functions, you will write this. Okay, what is easier? Keep practicing. It is very important. Validation takes quite a long time for you to understand. This logic and or logic operators are very, very difficult to understand. Okay. So keep practicing. Very important. So validation rule not only allows you to check that the value you are providing, that is a mandatory check, but it also allows you to do any kind of a look. It can look into the data, and you can force the users to put a data of some kind. That means custom validation. You can do custom validation on your data. That means you can force users to enter whatever you want that to enter. And there is so many formulas in here which will allow you to do many things, like contains, right? Instead of begins, if I use contains, here contains account number, I will say bypass validation, something of that sort. This number of bracket is very important. Keep track of the brackets. Okay, if you miss the brackets, it will find you the errors. So always check the brackets. 1, 2, again 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Sorry, 1, 2, 1 open, 2 open, 3 open, 2 open, 1 open, 1. Okay, check syntax, all fine. Save. Here, what I am saying is that if it does not contain bypass validation, then throw an error. So what it means, if I put any data, it will always complain. If I put a data called bypass L, then it will pass it. These are text functions. Okay, so let's go back to, we'll go to the assignment and we'll also talk about it. Okay, so validation is very important for you to practice, and I will not now give you the assignment which will allow you to practice validation. Before we close, I will go it slow because many people are struggling on validations. So we'll not discuss anything else today. So before we close, we have a logic which you need to understand. This logic is this not operator. That is very important. Not operator means false, right? Whatever is the actual value of that condition, it will just make it reverse. So condition 1 and condition 2, not of condition 1 and not of condition 2. Okay, not of condition 1 and not of condition 2 is not of condition 1 or condition 2. Please remember this. If you write the conditions one after another and use a not, that is equal to writing these conditions with and. So it will reverse. Not of condition 1 and or of not of condition 2 is equal to not of
Condition 1
condition 1
and
and condition
condition 2.
it is only not for condition 1 or 2. It can be condition n number 2, condition 3, 4, 5, 6. The grammar is the same. Individual conditions, if you are ORing them and then you are doing a not, that is equal to knotting them individually and doing the reverse operator. So this operator reverses.
Yes.
Okay, you see, combining operator reverses. So this might be very important for you to decide any requirements. Like, let me give you an example, which I will give in the assignment also. So think about it and you will do that. In the assignment, your salary cannot be less than 1 crore. The salary cannot be less than 1 crore. Sorry, let me put the assignment. I forgot the assignment.
Sir, you are not presenting, sir.
I am not presenting. Oh. Are you seeing now?
No, sir.
Right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you go to actor, you have this validation rule. Okay, it's given there.
Yes.
What is the validation rule? Validation is a value of the salary cannot be less than 10 crore or cannot be less than 10 crore and cannot be more than 50 crore. So value has to be between 10 crore to 50 crore. Anything above more than 50 crore should be blocked. Anything below 10 crore should be blocked. So it is very important to read this in a different way. So let's go back once again. 10 crore to 50 crore is the limit. So sometimes your customer will say, so salary is 10 crore to 50 crore. So sometimes your customer will say what they want. What they want? This is the range they want. So what is the condition? Condition is salary 10 crore and salary 50 crore. Now these are the two conditions. I am not using the operator because we'll decide how to do that. This is the two conditions that you need to check. Salary 10 crore is the lower limit. Salary 50 crore is the upper limit. Requirement is customer is saying allow value between 10 crores to 50 crores. That means customer has given you a bypass requirement, but they have not given you the blocker requirement. So you have to derive what is the blocker requirement. The blocker requirement is salary less than 10
Less
crore
than
and salary greater than
Great.
50 crore, right? These are the two conditions that needs to be blocked. How will you combine this?
Or, sir.
Or,
Yes, sir.
sure.
Sure.
Let's test this condition. So he's saying or condition. When the salary is 11 crore, I am inputting 11 crore. What is happening?
Field safe, sir.
This is false. Salary is not less than 10 crore. This is false. Right?
Okay.
But this condition is true.
Hmm.
So overall condition is true because this is OR operator. Any of them true is the whole operator true.
True.
Then the validation fires. Sorry, I am my mistake. What is the logic operator? Salary less than 10 crore or salary greater than 50 crore needs to be blocked. So if I now put a 100 crore, 11 crore, first condition less than 10 crore is false, right?
Yes.
Second condition, salary greater than 50 crore is also false.
False.
That means both are false. No validation will fire. That means 11 crore will be saved.
Yes.
Now let's pass 9 crore. Again, let's check. Always check these in a page, pen and paper. Then you will be very easy. So first condition, 9 crore. 9 crore is less than 10 crore. This becomes true.
True.
Right?
Yes.
Greater than 50 crore? No, this is false. So the first condition will fire. That means 9 crore will be blocked, which is right. I need that, right?
Yes.
Let me get 60 crore. So in 60 crore, what will happen? Salary, this is false.
This is true.
This is true. Then if validation will again fire, it will block. Right? So 60 crore will be blocked. That is why OR operator between these two conditions will be needed for writing the validation rule. Clear? What if my customer said, do not allow any values between 10 crores to 50 crores? What will you do?
And operate.
It's salary greater than 10 crore and salary less than 50 crore.
Yes. So if they give you a blocker condition, usually if you add a AND condition, it will be easy. So always check what is the requirement. If the requirement is what should be saved, in that case, usually it will be OR condition to block the conditions. But if it is a range which they are already providing, which needs to be blocked, that means that is quite easy. Just use that condition, put AND, and that's it, right?
Yes.
Salary greater than 10 crore, less, it will be not be less than. For AND
Salary, correct. You are right. These operators needs to be changed.
Yeah.
This operator is greater than 10, less than 50, no, and condition.
And
Okay. So how will I change this without changing the operators? If this was the case, sorry. How can I change this without touching these two?
not operate.
Yes. So if I put a not before them, and not before them, these, then I can use the AND operator.
And operate.
Right? This is equal to
Not
salary and not salary greater than 50. Yes, that's correct. So if this is equal to not of individual reverse, right?
yes. Salary.
That means what?
Salary.
Not of individuals
Or
not of
not of salary greater than
Or
10 crore
greater
or
than
salary greater than 50
or
crore.
salary less than 50. Clear?
Yes.
What I discussed here. Here, I am using the condition itself, an OR condition.
Individual.
So that is all we had in today's class. So same conditions you can write in many different ways. Try to experiment, play with it. Not and or is very fun. Not and this and or are very fun. Try to create your own conditions. And this assignment is already done for you. We'll take on automations in the next class. Yes.
Okay, sir.
Finish whatever is left over from your assignment end and finish the validation rule and show me in the next class. Any questions?
Okay.